Kábíyèsí o.
Your Majesty.
Ilẹ̀ Jogbo, ilẹ̀ ọlọ́lá. Land of Jogbo, land of greatness.
Kábíyèsí of Jogbo, land of greatness. The drum speaks the truth.
The drum's truth must be tested. Do not tell me what I must do in my own palace. Your Majesty, you know the oath is tradition. There are a few others I must listen. Àwọn agbára inú igbó ń bẹ̀rù. Ìṣọ̀kan ni ó bẹ̀sà. Mo mú àmúnaka sọ̀rọ̀ Balogun jẹ́ kí ó bẹ̀rẹ̀.
Your Majesty, you must take the oath. The elder begged, his old hands trembling. King Lapite turned sharply. Do not tell me what I must do in my own palace, he said coldly. Balogun stood behind the throne, smiling like a snake in tall grass. The elders exchanged frightened glances. Deep in the forest, a drum began to whisper. Saworoide was awake, and it was listening. If you're watching this video, please like, subscribe to the channel. Long ago, in the powerful kingdom of Jogbo, there lived a tradition stronger than any army. Before any man could wear the king's crown, before he could sit on the royal throne, he must first swear a sacred oath. This oath was not written on paper. It was sealed by something far more powerful, a drum, the ancient drum called Saworoide. This drum was no ordinary instrument. It was the voice of the ancestors, the constitution of Jogbo. If any king ever betrayed his people, if he stole from them, if he ruled with corruption and greed, Saworoide would sound. And when it sounded, the king would suffer unbearable punishment. King Lapite rose to power with great celebration. Chiefs bowed, women ululated, children danced in the streets. The kingdom of Jogbo rejoiced. The elders gathered before him with respect and presented their request. Your Majesty, you must perform the sacred oath before Saworoide, the eldest chief said humbly. Every king before you has done this. It protects Jogbo and binds you to your people. But standing just behind the throne was Balogun, the smooth-talking, dangerous chief advisor. He leaned forward and whispered quietly into Lapite's ear. You are king already. You need no drum to tell you how to rule. Lapite listened and nodded slowly. Lapite raised his hand and dismissed the elders firmly. The tradition of Saworoide is old and unnecessary, he announced. Jogbo is a modern kingdom now. We move forward, not backward. The elders left the palace in silence, their hearts heavy with dread. Balogun smiled broadly. His plan was working perfectly. He had chosen Lapite carefully, knowing the young king's pride was bigger than his wisdom. A king without an oath was a king without chains, and a king without chains could be controlled by whoever stood closest to the throne. Balogun intended to be that person. He had waited years for this exact moment. Greed entered the palace like floodwater, slowly at first, then all at once. Lapite began signing secret contracts with foreign businessmen who arrived with briefcases full of money and empty promises. The sacred forests of Jogbo, forests that the ancestors had protected for generations, were sold to logging companies. Rich farmlands were handed over to foreign investors. The people of Jogbo watched their land disappear piece by piece. Money flowed freely into the palace. Lavish parties replaced community meetings. Gold replaced wisdom. Meanwhile, in the streets outside the palace walls, hunger grew. Children went to bed without food. Farmers lost their land, and the elders wept quietly. The people of Jogbo could not stay silent any longer. Voices rose across the kingdom. Protests filled the marketplaces and village squares. Young men and women stood together demanding justice. The elders spoke openly against Lapite's corrupt rule. The noise became too loud to ignore. Even the military commanders began questioning their loyalty to a king who had abandoned his people. Eventually, the pressure became unbearable. Lapite was removed from power in a wave of public anger. He left the palace disgraced, his crown stripped away. The kingdom breathed a moment of relief. But power always hates emptiness, and someone was already moving to fill the space Lapite left behind. Balogun had never wanted to serve a king. He had always wanted to be one. Now his moment arrived. He moved quickly and cleverly through the chaos. He spoke to military commanders privately. He distributed money like water. He made promises to powerful men. Fear and money worked together in his hands like weapons. Within weeks, Balogun controlled Jogbo from the shadows. He placed a weak figurehead on the throne, while he pulled every string behind the curtains. The people realized quickly that nothing had changed. The same corruption, the same greed, only wearing a different face. But Balogun had made the same mistake Lapite made. He had never stood before Saworoide and taken the sacred oath. Deep in the forest, in a compound hidden by ancient trees, old Baba Opalamba sat quietly with his fellow custodians of tradition. He was the keeper of Saworoide, guardian of Jogbo's sacred laws. He had watched silently as one corrupt leader replaced another. He had waited patiently with the wisdom of many years. Now he stood slowly and spoke. "The kings have refused to come to the drum," he said firmly, "so the drum must now go to the kings." The other custodians exchanged serious glances. They all understood what this meant. Saworoide was about to be brought out from its sacred resting place. The ancestors were ready. The sacred drum was carried out with great ceremony. The custodians dressed in traditional white cloth. They moved through Jogbo like a quiet storm, singing ancient songs that had not been heard in many years. Ordinary people stopped and stared. Something powerful was happening, something old and unstoppable. When Saworoide finally sounded, its voice rolled across Jogbo like thunder. The earth seemed to shake, and in his comfortable palace, Balogun suddenly felt it. A sharp, splitting pain tore through his head. He grabbed his skull and fell to the floor, screaming. His guards rushed to help him, but could do nothing. The drum had spoken. Corruption met culture, and culture won. Balogun was finished. His power collapsed overnight. His allies abandoned him like rats fleeing a sinking boat. The military commanders who once supported him now turned their backs. The people celebrated loudly in the streets. But celebration alone could not heal Jogbo. The kingdom needed real leadership. The elders gathered carefully and chose wisely. Prince Aresa Jabata, a young man of humble character and honest heart, was brought forward. When the elders asked him to stand before Saworoide and take the sacred oath, he did not hesitate. He did not argue. He removed his sandals, knelt before the drum, and bowed his head. "I submit to the truth," he said quietly. When Saworoide sounded under Prince Aresa Jabata's reign, its voice was different. Not threatening, not punishing. It was warm and deep, like a grandfather's blessing. The kingdom felt it everywhere. Farmers returned to their land. Sacred forests were restored. Children played freely again. The elders smiled for the first time in years. Baba Opalamba sat outside his compound one evening and listened to the distant sound of Saworoide drifting through the trees. Tears rolled quietly down his old face, not tears of sadness, tears of relief. Jogbo had remembered who it was. The drum had never lied, it never would, and a kingdom that respects its truth will never truly fall. If you grew up watching this movie, type drum in the comments and subscribe for more classic Nollywood breakdowns, because the next story is even darker.